Okay, fantastic. One more time for Mr. Sean Work. Who here knows what the DISC assessment is? Who here does not know? If that sounded like Spanish to you, check it out. The DISC profile is important, especially for hiring. Myers-Briggs is better, in my opinion, for understanding yourself. Understand your instrument. Honor your design. He talked about knowing the ways in which you lack. Know the ways in which you lack so that you could hire to accommodate your deficiencies. Become proficient in the ways that you're deficient. Don't overcompensate for them. In the Marine Corps, and I write about this in my book, The Machine Gunner's Guide to Real Estate Accuracy by Volume, not everybody knows how to swim. But you just have to float in water long enough till somebody can come along and save you. You don't have to be great in every way. I have Asperger's. I'm on the autism spectrum. My executive function is very low. I am not organized. So I have to hire people who are organized. And they help me get paid. I was spending $28,000 a month in my profit and loss, which I had not run. $28,000 a month, which means that I had to close 2 to 3 transactions a month just to break even. That's important to know. It's important to track these things. Guys like this, like Sean Work, that are numbers guys, that's important to know. That was fantastic. The next person that I'm going to bring up to you guys today, I first met in Scottsdale with her and her husband, Joe, and we spent some time poolside. Thank you, Brent Gove. Spent some time poolside, and I got to know Marguerite. And Marguerite is like an untapped resource that you guys have right here, in that she speaks so intelligently, so eloquently, and she is pure fire. You never have to guess what's on Marguerite's mind. And you guys will find that out just like them during the Q&A. So I'd like to welcome Marguerite Crespillo to the stage, who has closed over 3,000 transactions.
All right, how's everybody doing? Good. Well, I've got a couple tough acts to follow. Holy cow, I adore Rick Jiha. I can't even tell you anymore. One of the most amazing people that I've ever met. And of course, Sean did an amazing job today. And he took all my time, so I'm done. No, I'm kidding. I just had to tease him. No, he's awesome. But wow, what a turnout today. Like, I had no idea we were going to have this many people here. I guess all of you guys are supposed to be out Christmas shopping, and this is the way to avoid it? Is that how that works? Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to be here. You know, I feel very honored to speak in front of this room because we have some really incredible people here. And, you know, I got into real estate back in 1993. Actually, on Sunday, it will be my 25th anniversary being in real estate, yeah. And I was laughing when Rick was talking about his kids, because Joe and I have 6 children, and our middle son, Philip Crespillo, is here today, back there, who for years I kept saying, okay, who's going to get in real estate? And all of them were like, not doing it. Have no interest in being in real estate because they saw our crazy schedule. And I finally talked Philip into being a home inspector now. So he works with CalPro Home Inspections. Thank you guys so much for being here today. But let's, you know, Sean talked a lot about a lot of different things in lead generation and what to do. And I find it crazy that as an industry, well, let me back up a moment. So one of the biggest problems is notoriously real estate has attracted people who don't want to work, right? Would you agree? Like, for many of us, the reason we got into real estate is because we bought or sold a home. We saw the agent put a sign in the yard and said, well, they didn't do anything. And look at that commission they got. And we thought, well, we can get in here, we can work part-time, we can sell a few houses a year, make some extra money, and we won't really have to work because it's not that hard. We just put a sign in the yard and sell real estate, right? Like, did any of you honestly, if you're really telling the truth, is that how you got into real estate? Right? So it's very different. I know for me, I got into real estate because my husband was in the mortgage business, and interest rates had dropped to an all-time low of 8%. Anybody remember those days? And we thought they were never going to get any lower, right? And so I decided I was going to do loans for about a year and do refis. And so I started doing loans, and interest rates rose, and I hated doing loans. So God bless all you lenders here in the office. In this room. How many lenders do we have here? Awesome. Thank you, guys, because your job sucks. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Like, with all due respect, I don't want to do your job. So I did loans for about a year, and then I said, I'm not going to do loans anymore. We were expecting our third son, Jonathan, and I've decided to go work part-time as an assistant for Luigi. Where's Luigi? There's my friend Luigi. So I went to work for Luigi, and he might kill me for this, but you'd go into his office, and it was chaos. Anybody else an ADD type person in here? His office was chaos. He was trying to figure out, we'd just gotten computers in real estate, so he wanted me to set up his top producer program back in the day, and I learned how to do top producer, learned technology, and I used to ride around with Luigi. And what kind of car did you have, Luigi? It was a big old Lincoln Town car. And we'd cruise around town, and he would give me all of his wisdom while we were cruising around. I ended up selling 18 houses in my first 6 months and thought, I think I like this deal, right? It worked out. So I started selling real estate, and I want to take you guys on a little bit of a journey. So this is Mark and Diana, and I got this email last year, and it said, hey, Marguerite, you were our realtor when we bought our home in Penryn about 17 years ago. Wow, how time flies. I continue to think about you every month because of those damn annoying newsletters. Don't stop sending them. I read every one. Well, life is what it is, and it's time to sell my mom's house. Are you interested? I think I'm interested. I think I'm all right. It ended up that the house was in Loomis. It was listed, we listed it for $960,000. We did a neighbor's meet and greet and open houses that weekend and double-ended it. To the tune of $60,000 in commissions. I was wrong, it was $980,000. $60,000 in commissions from a newsletter that I'd been sending out for 17 years. Anyone want to do the math? What was the return on investment? I don't know, $1 a month for 17 years. I suck at math, but I think that return on investment was pretty good. What do you think, right? So here's the reality, you guys, is you don't necessarily need more leads. Like, we're all caught up in this thing that we need massive amounts of leads. We want hundreds and hundreds of leads. We're mad at our brokers because they're not providing leads. We're upset because somebody was supposed to help us do this and do that and do that. The reality is, if I dropped into your office today and dropped 100 leads on your desk, most of you would burn through all of them and do nothing with them. Any of you have leads that you haven't called? Any of you have a lot of leads you haven't called? Right? And, you know, it's so funny when I hear agents complain, they go, oh, agents don't return their calls. And how many of you have any of you tried to call yourself and you didn't even answer your phone? Like, we're also critical and judgmental, right? The reality is we don't need more leads. What we need to do is take care of the people that are right in front of us. And we're not even doing that. How many of you does this picture look familiar? I'm trying to add more friends. And you got all these people waiting behind you who want to be your friends, and you're not paying attention to them. You know, Rick talked a lot this morning about really being present and being in the moment. And a big part of what we do is important to be present. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people who have had people around them raise their hand that want to buy or sell, and they're like, oh, wait, I got to go check out my internet leads. Hold on, I got a Zillow call. Just a minute, I'm figuring out my Facebook page, and I'm trying to get my website set up. Instead of taking care of the people that are right in front of you. Just for the record, websites are dead, for the most part. People don't go to websites anymore, hardly any at all. If anything, they go to landing pages or things like that, or they're reaching out on Facebook. They're reaching out in social media. They're looking for the people that are right in front of them. More people are interested in a referral than getting a call from somebody who logged into Zillow. That's who they want to get information from. So are you spending more time looking at FaceTime instead of looking at the faces in front of you? That's the real problem, is it not? So why do you think we do that? What is that about? Is it easier to reach out to cold, disconnected people? Or are we all sitting around in the office waiting for the phone to ring? Well, you guys, I don't know about you, but I've been, as I mentioned, 25 years in real estate. I've been through every kind of market you can imagine. I've been through great markets like we've recently had. I've been through not so great markets. I've been through bad markets and really, really, really sucky markets. I've been through all of them. And the one thing that does not change and that is consistent is we are in a relationship business. People want your help. They want your input. You know, it's funny because I hear people talking about how all this technology, we're all so fascinated by technology and how it's going to take over the real estate industry. And I'm going to disagree. I don't care what kind of technology you got. I don't think it's going to take over. Because ironically, we're in a world that is so connected, but we're really craving a connection. If you think companies, I don't want to throw any names out there, but let's say Zillow or Redfin or some of these technology companies that are claiming they're going to eliminate the real estate agent, how many of you have gotten that panicked call from a seller on a Friday night that the plumbing broke and they don't know what to do? How many of you got that panicked call late on a Saturday from a buyer who's freaked out about the home inspection and is not sure that they should buy that house? How many of you have had somebody see the interest rate on there and they're confused by how it works and they're sure that they can get a quarter of a point better if they just go online? And how many of you, as human beings, talk them through it? Right? That's the part that they cannot digitize. That's the part that technology cannot take over. It's those eyeballs in the situation. It's that heart-to-heart conversation to help people resolve problems and deal with solutions. How many of you have had that situation where you're having a problem with your computer, so you call up the 800 number and it says, for more faster service, please log on to our website. You're like, if I could get on your website, I wouldn't be on the phone. I just want to talk to a human. How many of you have gotten into the endless voicemail circle and you're just pressing 0 saying, please get me a human voice I can talk to? Anyone have that happen? So does that make you believe that technology is probably not going to take over our business? We are a relationship business first and foremost. Now, there are two types of agents. And I had this happen last year. I was training a couple of agents, and I'll call them Agent A and Agent B. And Agent A came to me and said, hey, I need to, actually, I'll back it up. We're going to call it Agent B. He said, I want to make sure I know every single thing there is about real estate. I want to know how to write a contract. I want to know exactly what to say. I want to know every possible problem that could ever go wrong. I want to know every situation before I ever go sell real estate. Agent A walked in to me one day and says, I have a client, now what? 90 days later, the one who said, I have a client, now what, had closed 3 transactions. 1 year later, the other one had not closed a thing. So it's amazing to me that many of us think we have to have it all figured out first. You know, I kind of describe it like riding a bicycle. So you decide that you want to learn how to ride a bike. You say, okay, great. I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to show you videos on how to ride a bike. I'm going to show you how to take the bike apart, put it back together. I'm going to show you the manual on how everything works. And guess what? You're going to know how to ride a bike. And then what happens when you get on the bike? You either crash, you get on there and you kind of wobble, and next thing you know, like our 5-year-old Jordan did, he hopped on the bike and he was kind of wobbling and he went smack into the back of a car, right? Or you soar. But if you don't ever get on the bike, it won't matter. If you don't ever reach out and take the time to get connected with people and talk to people and support them, it won't matter. You will struggle in this business forever. And here is my favorite quote of all time. I think I created it. I might have stolen it. I'm not sure. But here's the truth, you guys. You get paid in direct proportion to your ability to figure stuff out. Let me say that to you again. You get paid in direct proportion to your ability to figure stuff out. So if you are sitting around waiting for someone to show you what to do and how to do it, you're sitting around waiting for someone to drop leads and clients on your desk. You're sitting around thinking, oh, the market's going to change, or no, we're okay. If you're not paying attention to what is going on in the current market, guess what? You're probably going to be out of business. For any of us who've been around a long time, we've had to figure out a lot of different markets. Have we not, Mr. Cersei? 40 years in the business. Just received the Emeritus Award for being 40 years in the real estate business. Give him a hand. But you get paid in direct proportion to your ability to figure stuff out. So what are you doing on a daily basis, like Sean talked about earlier, to figure out what to do? Or are you waiting for somebody to give you direction on how to do it? Well, let me tell you about Linda Buckmaster. Many of you have probably heard about her. She's a little bit famous in my circle now. That's me on the right after getting thrown in the pool. That's Linda. Linda I met in 1997. I'd been in real estate just a couple years. She bought a $50,000 HUD home from me. Anybody remember the days where you could buy a HUD home for $500 down, right? $50,000 HUD home. Linda has since bought and sold 7 homes through me. Over 22 years now, 21 years. She has referred 9 people to me. And I'm going to tell you the rest of the story in a moment. But she has referred 9 people over those years. And you're going to see what that equates to in a minute. So how do you get here? What does it take to start from right now as a brand new agent to 25 years later and over 3,000 sales? What does that take? Well, I can tell you that first and foremost, it takes consistency. It's doing the same thing over and over and over again. And when you're looking at your business plan, what Sean will tell you from what he did is that there are 3 key areas of marketing. There is advertising, there are business connections to generate business, and there is your database, your sphere of influence, the people that know you, love you, and trust you. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to those numbers down there. Those are called conversion rates. And if you're paying attention to your numbers, you will know that these are relatively accurate from years and years of watching and coaching people. For every 100 internet leads you get, or advertising leads, not just internet, you will close 1 piece of business. And people say, oh, I have a higher conversion rate. Maybe you do, but you're probably not actually tracking accurately where your business is coming from. I love it when I hear people say, oh, I just did those, like banner ads on the park bench. $5,000 I spent on it. And I said, okay, was it worth it? Like, oh, yeah. I go, did you get any deals from it? Well, I'm not sure, but, everybody sees my name. So are you even tracking where your business is coming from? I can guarantee for any of you, if you're not paying attention, like Sean was saying, about tracking your business, you're crazy. You need to know exactly where your business is coming from at all times. And if that money is actually working for you. Is it really working? So when you look at business connections, these are people like your affiliates, your lenders, your heat and air guy, your plumber, maybe your carpet person, your CPA, your bookkeeper, your financial advisors. The conversion rate is typically 10 to 1. Now, here's the best part. Can anyone see the conversion rate on your database? What is it? 3 to 1. For every 3 people from your database, 1 will do business with you. I like those odds. How about you? Are those better odds? So why are we spending so much time, energy, and resources advertising? What's the reason for that? And I hear people say, oh, well, I don't like to do business with family and friends. Are you kidding me? I'll tell you why you don't like doing business with family and friends, because you're not showing up as a pro. I know. My license plate says no filter, y'all, so I'm going to tell it like it is. So you are not showing up like a pro. So let me tell you what I did to my brother. Too bad he's not in the room. Somebody, I'm sure, will send this to him. My brother wanted to buy a house, and he was a lender at the time, so he's like, oh, I know how this works. I said, okay, that's cool. I said, bring your wife Charlotte in. We're going to sit down and go over the process. Oh, I don't need to do that. So men, we love you, but how good are you at communicating to your spouses when we give you information? You're so good. Isn't it so funny? My husband goes and does something and comes back and I go, okay, so what'd they say? He goes, I don't know. Did you ask them this? No. Did you ask them that question? No. What did you talk about? I don't know. Right? Anybody have that conversation? We've been together almost 33 years. Thank you, Joe. I love you very much. And so the reality is I made my brother and his wife come in and sit down. I did a buyer presentation to explain to them the process and how it works. And I love when people say, oh, I don't do buyer presentations. Nobody's going to want to sit down and do that. So I'm curious, how many of you guys take a listing without doing a listing presentation and getting a contract? Any of you? No? You don't? Why? What? So all of you, when you take a listing, you make sure to sit down with them, go over the process, have them sign a contract, right? Do you know why you do that and you don't do it for the buyers? Because somebody told you to. That's the only reason. Your broker said, don't walk into this office without a listing agreement. And you said, okay. You don't do that with buyers. So how many of you think that buyers might be a little bit confused by our process and how we do things? Just a tad? Do you think all buyers know how we even get paid? They don't even know. Do buyers, people go, oh, well, but they go on the internet. I've had people who get a lead in front of them and they say, hey, go to my website and search for this. You're like, are you crazy? So the reality is are you taking the time to sit down and educate your clients, help them understand? Are you doing it with your family and friends? They're the most important people in your life, are they not? Do they not deserve the very best of you? The most professional person ever who sits down and helps them understand the process? Do they not deserve that? So if you are making your plan for next year, I hope that you are all doing a buyer presentation. If you don't have one, email me. I will send you mine. No charge, no obligation. Feel free. I'll be happy to share it with you. Okay? And so the truth is, for many of us, we have become firefighters instead of fire prevention specialists. We are out there just putting out fires. Our day consists of, oh, they got a question. Dang it, I got to answer that. Oh, here's a problem. I got to deal with that. We're these firefighters constantly putting business out and fires out, and we're not being proactive or explaining how things work. Because you guys, here's how trust works. If I explain something to you up front and it happens, you go, oh yeah, Marguerite warned me about that. If I don't explain something and something comes up, what starts to go through your mind? What else didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me that? Aren't you the pro? Why do you think that doctors tell you all the things that could go wrong before you go into surgery? Because at the end, you're like, am I going to die? Right? And then when you come out of surgery, you're like, oh, it's a good day. They prepare you for everything that could possibly go wrong and the stuff that could go right. So are you doing that now? Are you helping your people understand the process? You guys, that's where the value is. People don't need us anymore to show them homes. The old days of riding around in Luigi's Lincoln Continental and showing people property, I think he still has that car. Do you still have that car, Luigi? And the thing is the days of people coming to us and we found the properties and we drive them around, those days are gone. Where is our value now? Our value now is up here. It's in our knowledge, our education. It's of guiding them through the process. It's helping them connect and understand what's going to happen. Our real estate transactions are more complicated than they ever were. To date myself again, when I worked with Luigi, our contracts were 4 pages long. We did no inspections back then. I think the 4th page was a blank page so you could write in all the terms of the contract, right? It was 4 pages thick. It was the old NCR paper. We had to have original signatures. We had to drive them around, deliver them to our lender. Like, you guys have it made. And I can't believe you complain. And here's the irony. When you get down to the closing table And if you guys are not attending your signings right now, you better not tell me that because I'll be all over you. The most important time in a transaction is at the closing table. People are spending more money than they've ever spent in their life, for most people. It's the biggest financial decision they will make. And oh, you were too busy to show up at the signing. What is the second biggest number on the closing statement behind the loan balance? Commissions. So when they see that big old number and they go, oh, all she did was put a sign in the yard, right? And I had somebody say that. We were in an appointment the other day, and this kid, these people, their son was in the room. He goes, man, I should get in real estate. You guys have it easy. And you know what my response was? Masters make things look easy. How many of you think you can golf? But doesn't Tiger Woods make it look pretty easy? Like, that guy's a pro. He's a master. How many years of practice did he put in? How much time and energy did he put in to master his craft? And so my question to you is, how much time and energy are you guys putting in to master your craft? The fact that you're here today puts you in the top 0.0001% of the real estate industry. That you're taking time to be here and listen to speakers and learn about how you can improve your business puts you in that top percentage. Most agents don't bother. So how proactive are you being to your business? Now I'm going to run out of time too, so I'm taking over. Who's next? Tom's time. No, I'm not kidding. Here's the reality. The fortune is in the follow-up. Both of them addressed it earlier, that how many people had gone on a listing appointment and wondered who sold them the house before and why they weren't there. If you guys do not have a database, it's the most valuable thing you own, and you're crazy not to have one. And if I hear one person say, which CRM do I use, I'm going to pull out my whip. It doesn't matter which one you use. Just use one. Put your information somewhere, right? So here's the problem. We're all trying to complicate things instead of keeping it simple. This industry is not that difficult. I am not any smarter than any of you here in the room. The only difference is I actually acted on things and did the work. When people talk about closing 3,000 deals, it sounds really glamorous. What they don't talk about is the 20,000 homes I probably showed, is the countless transactions I lost, the amount of times I failed and lost everything, the amount of times I was up until 2 a.m. trying to figure out how to do things, the amount of times that during the worst market in history, I was doing BPOs till my eyes bled. And people said, well, I'm not going to do that for $50. I was like, girl, that's milk money for my kids. You can ask my son Philip how much time and energy we put into BPOs, driving all day long, taking pictures, inspecting properties, inputting at all hours of the night. Because I had to do what I had to do when the market shifted. You guys have a choice right now. We're going to lose probably a third of our industry over the next few years. Will it be you? Or will you adjust and adapt? So here's a few simple things that I've done. I send a little letter of the heart, a little story about me and my life. It's not complicated. It's not a bunch of statistics. It's not a 14-page newsletter. I've tried that and failed. It's not a bunch of stuff about real estate, because these people know that I'm in real estate. I've worked with them and stayed connected to them my whole career. It's a little letter about me and my life. As I mentioned, we have 6 kids. I got stories for days. Not all of them like the stories that are in my newsletters. However, I send this out every single month. These are the Heinemans. I met these people in 2002. She had a little baby bump up there. She was pregnant with her first child. All those years later, 12 years, they finally showed up at one of my client events with 4 children. Said, hey, Marguerite, that 3-bedroom, 1-bath is not cutting it anymore. It's time for us to move up. $22,000 in commissions. How about that? Have you been holding client events? People get all whacked out about it. Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to handle it. There's lots of different events you can do. In fact, this is Ernestine Wilson. She saw me say this at an event. She left that day, went through her little bag of gift cards. Any of you guys have that? Bags that you've received gift cards? Found one that a lender had given her for $200 to Ruth Chris. She called up 4 of her girlfriends and said, hey, do you guys want to go to happy hour on Friday? Those 4 showed up to happy hour. Actually, it was 6 people. 4 of them referred her people over $40,000 in commissions. How many of you are not doing that right now? Or she could have spent $200 on a Zillow ad, which would be more effective, right? How many of you are creating wow moments? How many of you are making the real estate experience extraordinary? It's not that hard to be average in this business. It's not even any harder to be a little bit better than average and make it an extraordinary experience for people. So are you doing that now? What are little things where you could communicate, stay in contact, reach out to them, get to know what's important to them? How many of you are paying attention to those little tiny details? Some pretty powerful stuff, right? Here's the truth. You could either go out and get on this vicious cycle and be constantly trying to get new business, or you could do an extraordinary job of taking care of the people right in front of you and get all the business that you want and need. It's there and available for you. So what does actually building a lifetime business look like? And if you do it right, you will reap the rewards. So let's talk about Linda Buckmaster. This is Linda. Remember I told you she sold 7 homes with me? Those 9 people turned into 65 people. She referred people who referred people who referred people who referred people. Is that an MLM or a pyramid scheme? Is that what that is? I'm just curious. 65 referrals has generated over $300,000 in commissions. If you break that out by the 2,100 people that are in my database is worth over $10 million. This is not exaggerating, people. It's worth it. So how many of you are paying attention to your database? How many of you are putting the time and energy in to take care of the people that are right in front of you? You can do it starting today. Today. And then you too can be standing up here 25 years later talking about how you built a $10 million database. I didn't do anything special or anything different. I just did the same thing over and over again, and I took great care of people. So I hope that what you guys will do today is, number 1, open up your database if you haven't. Make phone calls, connect with people. Just call to say hello, not because you want something or need something. This is the time of year where you could just call and say, hey, how are you, Vince? What's going on in your life? What's new with you? What can I do to help you? We're craving a connection, people, including yourself. What are you doing to change the way you do business today? That is all I have.